This is Hafiz. Hafiz lives with his wife and 5 children in At Tuwani, a small farming village in the hills south of Hebron in Palestine's West Bank. In these images taken in April last year, the people of At Tuwani and a handful of Israeli and international activists were holding a peaceful demonstration to protest against the building of a 2-foot-high wall on village land. The army claimed that the mini-wall would make a difference in security, but for the villagers it was clear that the aim of the wall was to obstruct access in and out of At Tuwani and to ruin their already dire economies. The wall was finally removed by a court order, but the success of the villagers didn't make news. For the media, At Tuwani was just one of the many Palestinian villages struggling against ongoing dispossession and harassment, a picture just too common to hit the press. After the signing of the Oslo Accords, Tuwani was included in Zone C under complete Israeli control. This situation led to neglect of the village, which still depends on wells for its water supply and a diesel-powered generator for its 4 hours a day of electricity. Moreover, the Israeli administration declared all the buildings in Tuwani illegal and issued demolition orders that have been enforced on 4 occasions. It was irrelevant that several houses predated the foundation of the State of Israel.
They evacuated about 11 villages from this area in 2000. And they took them in big trucks, they took them with their staff, with their children, and they throw them to the other side of this main road. Home demolition. We can't build anything in this area. So if we want to build, we have to ask them for permit, and they never give us any permit. They're asking different papers, whatever. Even if we give them all these things, they never give any permit, and they have the excuse just to demolish anything that you build. In addition to the settlers' attacks, the settlers' attacks, they are coming to the people. They are working on their land, and they attack them. So what to do? The Palestinians just they have to call the police, the Israeli police. So when they call the police, they never come, And when they complain against the settlers, even if you have evidences, everything, they did nothing for that. We started thinking, so why all this happening here? And now it's clear for us that this is the Israeli government policy here, just how to make or how to let this area keep in a circle of violence, and then to give more excuses for them just to use more violence against us, and just to be easy for them just to evacuate the whole area.
There is something elusive in the beauty of these hills. They conceal the pervasive reality of the military occupation and the daily struggle for every inch of land. One of the major threats facing Tuwani comes from the nearby settlement of Maon and its more radical offshoot, the outpost of Havit Maon. Under international law, both are built illegally. In the past, settlers have attacked shepherds with sticks, poisoned wells and grazing land, and burned villagers' crops, while army and police have turned a blind eye. After the establishment of Havit Maon, settlers also started to attack children from the neighbouring hamlet of Tuba on their way to school in Tuwani. To monitor settler attacks and to protect the children and farmers, the Christian peacemaker teams and Operation Dove established a pioneering full-time presence of international activists in 2004.
I think that international involvement is always problematic to some degree. I think there are always challenges. Because it's too easy for internationals to become the story as opposed to Palestinians. But here in Tuwani, we're really have wonderful partners that we work with. This is a project that is by and large Palestinian-led. We do what the village asks us to do. And I think that by taking our lead from Palestinians, we're able to support what they're already doing.
The villagers of the area around Tuwani have organised themselves by forming a committee to promote non-violent action as a means of resistance. In this way, they hope to assert the justice of their cause and to break the cycle of provocation and violence into which the settlers want to drag them. But their efforts will almost certainly fail if the settlers and the army escape the scrutiny of the media and remain free to continue their campaign of harassment and oppression with total impunity.
We believe that the Israelis, they afraid, they scared of the media because they do bad things. So, for example, the soldiers on the checkpoints. So they used to stop the people hours, take IDs, and sometimes to beat the people without any reason. But with this Israeli and international activists, because they have really very, very important weapon. We consider it very important weapon, which is the camera and the video camera. Just when they come there, they behave very kindly to the people. Hi, how are you? Please, your ID, whatever. And this has never happened before, but now it's happening. Our strategy is how to reflect the truth on land, what's happening in this area, for the Israeli people and for the whole world. This is our mission now, because we will have more solidarities and our voice will go out.
On December the 1st, 2007, over 200 Israeli, Palestinian and international peace activists held a march from Tuwani to the nearby hamlet of Tuba. The purpose of the march was to protect the farmers of Tuba while they were ploughing the fields adjacent to the Hebron outpost. Israeli soldiers tried to prevent activists from reaching the fields despite having no military warrant to enforce a closure. Activists managed to break the army blockade and walk to the fields in defiance of the police and the army's warning. The ploughing of the lands was not merely a symbolic act, since according to the Israeli absentee property law, fields that are left idle for a period of 3 years can be taken over by a third party, including settlers. The march was also an important show of solidarity by joint Israeli-Palestinian peace groups like Tayyush and Combatants for Peace, and a renewal of their ongoing commitment not to abandon the people of the South Hebron Hills to their fate.
Israel is the country that is maintaining its occupation over Palestine, and we believe that this occupation is illegal and destructive and also self-destructive, that in the long term Israel will destroy itself if it continues in the absolutely insane idea that it can control physically 3 million Palestinians, can tie them up in small little ghettos, that it can make their lives miserable, that it can disenfranchise them. Israel will not be able to do that, and because this is violence coming from the Israeli system as a whole, from the army, from the government bureaucracy, from the civil administration, which is a branch of the army, it is our duty and our responsibility as Israelis to oppose this in whatever way we possibly can. Non-violent way, of course. You cannot think about it in terms of a single moment, a single day. You have to think of it in the long term. The long term is the consistent effort over years, literally over years, to maintain a presence here in such a way that the balance of power will be changed. A day will come when the Israeli settlers here will be evacuated. I believe that day will come, and there will be peace. We want to be sure that these people here survive in their homes and on their lands until that day comes.